Okay, the first thing we're going to do is create a new report by clicking on that big plus sign to create a new report. Now we have a blank report, and the next thing we need to do is to add some data, connect some data to it so that we can actually show some data in our report. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the right under the Select Data Source column, and we're going to click on Create New Data Source. And that is going to take us to a list of data sources that are available, and we are going to scroll down and select Google Analytics. Once you're there, you're going to see the Google Analytics accounts that you have access to, the properties, and the views. In this case, you may just see the one account, the Google Analytics demo account with the Google Merchandise Store. And what we are going to use for this is the master view. So we're going to go ahead and select master view and then click on the connect button. And the connect button will actually connect that Google Analytics data to this report. On the left over in the fields column, you can see all of the dimensions and metrics that we're pulling in. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And the last thing we need to do here is we actually add this data to our report. So up in the right hand corner, you'll see a add to report button. Click on that, click again, and now this data is available for us to create a dashboard. But before we go any further, let's do something very important here, and let's make sure we give our report a name so we can remember what it is later. So we'll go ahead and give this report the name of Google Merchandise Store version 1.0. Next, we want to tell Data Studio that for every report, or rather for every page we create in this report, we want to use that master view as the default data for everything that we create. So the way we do that is we go up here under the File menu, and a drop-down menu will come down. You're going to go to Report Settings, and we're going to select the default data source as that master view. And now we're ready to add some actual data to our report. And the first thing we're going to put in our report is something called a scorecard report, which is just an element that provides a number for any specific metric. So I'm going to go up here and click on scorecard. Then I'm going to draw a box where I want it to appear. And that gives me my scorecard report. Now, okay, that's my sessions, but I really want 3 of these. I want sessions, page views, and users. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scorecard and I'm going to duplicate that. Now I'm going to go over and just change the metric for that second one from sessions. And I want this one to be page views. So I can search in here for page views. Click on that. Now that's page views. I want one more, so I'm going to duplicate that again. And I'm going to change the metric for that third one to users. So I go over here to my metrics, search for users. And select that. Okay, so now I have sessions, page views, and users, only I don't want them in that order, so I can reorder them the way that I want them. And then this is going to behave like many drawing programs. You can organize your elements, select them, and then you can align them. So I'm going to select all 3 here, sort of tweak the size of each till I'm happy with it. And that's the basic principle about how to add data to a page in a report. Those were scorecard reports. As you can see along the top, there are all the different types of charts and data representations you can put in there. What we're going to do next is we're going to add some time series data. So I selected the time series icon, and I drew a big rectangle. And this is going to allow us to show sessions over time. And then I'm going to add a second dimension. In addition to sessions, I'm going to add page views. And again, just by searching, it'll help you get through the menu. And this shows us sessions and page views from the default, for the default time period, which is the last 28 days. You can change the default time series, but for now we're just going to leave it at 28 days. I also wanted to point out that Data Studio has two modes. There is View when you're viewing your reports, and Edit when you're editing. So to switch from View to Edit, you simply click on the Edit button in the top right. And now we're ready to add some more data to our report. So we're going to next add a table with our sources of traffic. So we click on the table icon, we draw our area where we want our table, then we go over to our dimensions and we are going to select channel grouping, default channel grouping, and it shows where our traffic is coming from. While that table is selected, you can switch back over to the right-hand panel here and switch from data to style. And then you can tweak things like the sizes of the fonts, the background color of the table, that sort of thing. So it enables you to customize each one of these little elements to the degree that you'd like to. Okay, in this case, I like that. I can see the sources of my traffic and the total sessions for each, but I also want to see it as a percentage of my overall traffic, not just the total number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another metric, a copy of the exact same metric. I'm going to have sessions in there twice. Then I'm going to go over and edit that instance of the data, and I'm going to change it from a numeric representation to a percentage, and I'm going to make that the percentage of the total. Then I can see not only the total number of each source, but also the overall percentage for each. Then I can also customize the labels as they're appearing here. Maybe I didn't want sessions to appear twice, and I really don't want it to read as default channel grouping, which is too formal, and I'm just going to change that to channel. And the last thing we want to do is we don't like those line numbers in there. We don't really think we need them. So we're just going to uncheck that box. And we don't need to show the pagination, just to clean up our chart a little bit. And the great thing is, now that we've established our chart style, we can just duplicate that. I want to have a similar chart that shows the types of devices that people are using rather than where they're coming from. So I just copy that chart. And I'm just going to change the primary dimension from default channel grouping to device category. Okay, so the last thing we want to add to our dashboard here are some filters. So we're going to add some date and some content filters. So first, this thing that looks like a calendar is your date filter. So you click on that, then you can draw a rectangle where you want that to be, and that will allow you to filter by date. This thing over here that looks like a filter control or is labeled filter control, that allows you to create dimension filters. So you draw a triangle, and then over here you select what dimension you want to filter on. And in this case, we want to filter on channel grouping. I can, again, duplicate that. It'll give me the same size. Move that over. And then, again, I just want to change the dimension from channel grouping to device type. So basically here we're filtering on the types of things that we're reporting on in this page of the report. Again, I can change the labels if if I think device category is too long and I just want it to say device, I can do that. Same thing for channel grouping. Maybe that sounds too formal, so I just want to make it say channel. I can do that. And there you have it. Now you have a dashboard report with 3 filters. And there I can change the date range, change it to this year. So it's going to show me all the data up until this date. And then I can isolate that and just say, okay, I just want to see my organic search traffic year to date. And now I want to just say, show me just my mobile traffic that came from organic search for this year. So those work like other filters and other tools. Again, this was year to date. If I wanted to actually change it to this year overall, they would just not cut it off as of today's date. There you have it. So that's a basic way to build dashboards using Google Data Studio, which I think is a very powerful tool. And this was intended just as a quick overview to show you how the tool works. There's a tremendous amount that you can do with it. This really just scratches the surface.